You know what really fouls my acres? Neighbors. Specifically, neighbors who are clown-ass dick slappers. Now, Mac, neighbor behind me, this is not about you. You're the cat's ass, and I'm super happy to be your neighbor. And Joe, or anybody in the house right next to me, you guys are upstanding and friendly. This rant is not about you either. You guys are neighbors that I'm happy are my neighbors. Probably happier that you're my neighbors than you are that I'm your neighbor, but turns out he works for the DA. In fact, somebody told me that he's a judge. Whatever. You know you spent too many days in the Army on combat tours, and that your time in the Navy was so vast that you have a permanent attitude problem that is now enshrined in your personality. When you tell a neighbor to eat a bag of dicks. Oh yeah, I did. I also gave him a nickel's worth of free Burke's wisdom. Maybe this is a topic for another episode. I can't even. I need a drink. Hey, sorry, after that last time you have to make your own drinks now. Are you serious? Yep. To the bar. Good evening, jerks, jesters, and jackoffs, and people who pick up what I'm putting down, and also you humorless lumps. Welcome to another episode of Before the Mask, a show that if you find yourself taking too seriously, you should probably reevaluate your own personality. Before we go any further, hit like and subscribe. Also, hit my little red bell. You'll be helping me help you. After all, I am a lifestyle influencer. Lifestyle under the influencer. Today's cocktail is the Nuwiliwilinukunuku oi oi. If you're an ichthyologist, then you know that I did not make that up. If you're not, well, look it up. LUWIKINUKUNUKUOI'. Look it up on Google. I'm trying to keep my episodes under 30 minutes. The recipe for this drink will be down in the description. It is much easier to make this drink than it is to pronounce the name. But first, what we really need is the booze. For tonight's drink, we'll just need some Pusser's rum, my favorite, Peychaud's bitters. Glad I found another use for it other than Sazeracs. You'll also need lemon juice, pineapple juice, and orgeat. Orgeat? Orgy syrup, no. Orgeat, we'll call it almond syrup. Fairly simple stuff. I love that sound. Almost as much as I love that smell. This has already been opened. Now I know normally that I say that you should always use fresh juice when you can. We unfortunately have reached the part of the year where I can't. I have no more lemons on my lemon tree. I have no oranges on my orange tree. I have used them all in whiskey sours and Planters Punch. So now we're back to store-bought. Whatever. It'll still be good because it's got pussers in it. Let's make this bitch. That's probably good. And there it is. The Nuwiliwilinukunuku oi oi. Cheers, people. That is real. I know I say this every time I make a drink, but that's really good. Pussers is going to work best for you on this drink. Just because it has such a unique flavor. It really, really does this drink justice. So if you're gonna make a Nuwiliwilinukunuku oi oi, use pussers. If you can't get pussers, okay. You can use a dark rum. Don't use Bacardi. Sorry, Bacardi. These drinks are really good for those long, unpredictable nights. Cheers, assholes. God, that's good. Speaking of long, unpredictable nights, hug that cocktail and get ready for a tale of desperation and woe. Not like whoa, well, maybe a little bit of that, but whoa. Tonight I'm telling you the story of how I almost fucked over my ship with a pretty egregious mistake. But none of us are perfect. This mistake was made during an in-serve drill. I am fairly certain that the story that I'm about to tell you took place in late 2007. It was shortly after I was made the leading petty officer of Deck Division. You can hear the story of how I came to lead Deck Division way back in episode 4, Anchors Aweigh. This is one of those stories where I came really close to proving the Navy saying, it only takes one ah shit to get rid of 1,000 attaboys. It was a rare occasion aboard super ship USS McCampbell DDG-85 Ship of the Damned. We were in port in Yokosuka. Don't worry. Yeah, no. We weren't there for rest or relaxation or visiting our families or anything stupid like that. We were there to do in-serve drills. In-serve is a group of officers and sailors whose only mission is to tell you that you were wrong. You could get an in-serve guy that you used to be drinking buddies with on your last ship. And rest assured, that guy will still blue falcon you right in the ball sack. They have no emotion. They're hardly even human anymore. You could come up with a genius way of saving the ship at its dire moment, and they will tell you that you did it wrong. They are government-sanctioned armchair quarterbacks. They have been stripped from everything that makes them human and replaced it with a coldness only second to recruit division commanders. Now, I have friends who were RDCs and friends who were in in-serve. To this day, I would take a bullet for them. I love them deeply with a fraternal love that will never die. But am I wrong here, guys? But I digress. 2 nights before in-serve was due to commence, I had duty, and I was assigned to the 2024 Pier Sentry watch. That is 8 p.m. to midnight for all you civilians out there. I would say that you will see that this was not entirely my fault. But in military circles, excuses don't matter. Only results. A Pier Sentry, that's a 2-man watch. I don't recall who had the watch with me. I am pretty sure it was an OS, operations specialist, and about 50% certain that it was OS3 bias, but I'm not sure. Give me a break. It's been like 15 years. Anyway, it was an uneventful watch. By 23:45, that's 11:45 p.m. for civilians. My fellow watchstander, probably OS3 bias, was relieved and went back to the ship to go to sleep. Time passed. Lots of time. Finally, I radioed the quarterdeck on the ship to ask the officer of the deck where my relief was. I mean, it was almost 1 a.m. I should have been relieved an hour and 15 minutes ago. I was told they would find out who the relief was supposed to be. Well, at 2 a.m. I called the ship again about my relief, and I was told they were still trying to figure this out. Well, eventually, 3:45 in the morning came around, and the other guy that had relieved my first watchstander buddy, well, he got relieved. I had stood 2 full watches in a row. Okay, whatever. Shit happens. In the military, if you stay in long enough, you learn to accept things. You may complain about them loudly. You may talk a lot of shit. But you accept that this is your lot in life, and you just do your fucking job, man. My new companion settled into her watch. Well, I thought, well, at least I'll be relieved this time. I mean, you're not going to get stood up 2 times in a row, right? right? Oh, is it me? Wrong. My third comrade was relieved. And I waited. And I waited. And I waited. I watched the sunrise over the Navy Exchange. Stood at attention for both the United States and the Japanese national anthems. And then I called the ship again. This time, I was a little perturbed. I asked, "A Whiskey Tango Foxtrot?" What the fuck? He had no idea what I was blathering on about. It appeared that my plight had not been properly passed down by the preceding watchstanders. I got the distinct impression that he thought I was just being a little bitch. Hours passed. It had now been 24 hours. Oh no, I'm serious. It had been 24 hours. My wife and kids were in LA at the time, so there was really no incentive to be a huge bitch about it. I had subsisted off of vending machine drinks and snacks that Seaton and Ramirez and Rogers had brought me during my odyssey. They all commiserated with me. Man, that sucks. See ya. I think Seaton might have said something to the effect of, well, Scoot, better you than me. Now, Seaton is a great guy and a better friend. You could count on him for pretty much anything, up to brutal honesty and including getting half the island of Guam wanting to execute you in the jungle. You can hear more about that way back in episode 2. The aviation and why I hate flying. Now I could understand some hiccup not being relieved for one watch. But 6 rotations? I mean, the fuck, man. It wasn't the longest I've ever been compelled to stay awake in the military. Not even by a long shot. That's a story for another episode. But it was still taking its toll. You know, being awake for 24 hours is the equivalent to having a blood alcohol level of 0.1 according to the CDC. That's pretty damn drunk for all you teetotalers out there. Well, I had been awake for at least 38 hours now. I took this watch at 7:45 the night before last. And that was after a full 12-hour day of regular work. I was now standing the 20 to 24 watch on somebody else's duty day. Still, I had to wonder how an entire 24 hours of watchstanders managed to forget they had to watch. Another night passed. I had now been on this wretched watch for 30 hours. The ship was going into a force protection drill during the forenoon watch. Deep down I cared, but I just could not convince the rest of me to give a shit. So finally, around 9 a.m., the in-serve guy came up with one of our own ship's FIPIT guys. FIPIT, F-P-T-T, Force Protection Training Team. The ship's Force Protection Training Team member, it's a mouthful when you've been drinking, was none other than IC-1 King. They walked up. I said good morning to the in-serve guy, and I greeted King in, normal Navy fashion. What's up, asshole? Something like that. The in-serve guy told me to turn over my weapon. Now, before any force protection drill, the trainers take over the live weapons of the watchstanders and replace them with what we call rubber duckies, dummy weapons. There is a set way. An SOP, if you will, to go about this. Well, I unholstered my Beretta 9mm, checked to make sure that the safety was on, and I turned it around and handed it by the barrel to the in-serve guy. But first, as natural as a summer day, this was exactly the way not to do this action. See, outside the guard shack, there was what's called a clearing barrel, or an amnesty barrel, depending on your branch of service. The Army likes to call them amnesty barrels. So I was supposed to, A, safely unholster my weapon. B, eject the magazine from said weapon. C, while aiming it into the barrel, pull the action to ensure no rounds are in the pipe. D, pull the trigger. And 5, hand the weapon over to the inspector. Well, in-serve looked at me with half curiosity and half disdain. While IC-1 King, looking absolutely astonished and mortified, blurted out, "What the fuck, Boats?" Well, the in-serve guy was shocked and asked, "When do you ever do this?" I had to think quick. And I didn't want to roll everybody under the bus. I could have said, "I'm sorry, Chief. I've been on watch for the past 40 fucking hours and I haven't had any sleep or anything to really eat other than Lay's potato chips and what was I drinking back then? Water, lots of water." But I didn't, because no matter how bad you have it or you think you have it, complaining to an outside command is like telling a lonely girl looking for a good time from any swinging dick she can find that your girlfriend is a big meanie, so rotten to you, even though your girlfriend is probably really not that bad. You just don't do it. Anyway, I told both the inspector and IC-1 King that I'd gotten out of the Army not too long ago. And this is how we turned over weapons in the Army. This was a lie. The in-serve guy, he just shook his head, and in a matter of, "Oh, that's why," and pretended it didn't happen. King acted as though he totally understood what was going on. he did understand the assignment here. So there's that. Cheers, King. It was then that I knew that I really screwed the pooch. Oh, whoopsies. This was Yokosuka, Japan, not Mosul, Iraq. There were rules and ethics. The rest of the drill went on without any hiccups. I passed all scenarios. On the other hand, I was sweating bullets for the rest of the watch, knowing that this was going to make it to the wardroom debriefing. Finally, at 11:50 in the morning, I was relieved by some guy in duty section 4. I was in duty section 2. I had stood a 40-hour watch. I had been awake and working for 52 hours. You're supposed to turn over with your relief and let them know anything of importance or if there's anything going on that they should know about. Well, I told my relief he could just ask the junior relief what the hell's happening. I stumbled down the pier back to the ship as though I had been on a weekend bender. Without the fun. It was only noon and it was Monday. My guys were working. Well, I wasn't going to be the asshole in the group. And I had a spot check that thankfully was not mine. But as LPO, I had to be there for it. I don't remember. I never heard anything from any officer or senior enlisted that I had fucked the in-serve drill or inspection, whatever. So for that, I would assume that that all was good. But then I was never promoted to first class. I retired anyway. I can't complain too loudly. Until next time, may you be able to drink enough that when you are stupid tired, it's not a shock to your brain. Cheers, assholes.
What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor?
This is actually... Now why am I looking over here? Fucking thing's there. Remember where the fucking camera is on this. So. I don't like that. Jesus, it's already 2 o'clock in the morning. If you find yourself in or around Oroville, the great thing about being a bosun mate is you learn valuable skills. Like how to make a coaster. Why is this light here? Oh. I can still hear what the fuck boats in my head. 15 years later, I can hear King's voice. What the fuck boats? It left an impression on me.